Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Bridging Generations in Sales and Outreach. I'm very excited today to have a good friend of mine who, when I decided to do this show, I knew I wanted to have Jeff as the first person on the show because of what he's done and what we're going to talk about today. So, what we're going to talk about today is how Jeff built a digital presence without chasing being an influencer. And Jeff, welcome you to the show.
Thank you, Butch.
Uh, Jeff, the way I'd like to start the show, if we could today, is well, let me tell a little story and then you hop in.
Okay.
So I've known Jay for about 4 years. Jeff for about 4 years. So we have a little joke. If I call him Jay or he calls me Bruce, we have known each other for 4 years. So um, uh, I've known Jeff for about 4 years, and really all I knew was he did advertising for TV somehow. And then I guess maybe a year ago, Jeff, I started seeing these really cool short videos pop up from Jeff in my LinkedIn stream. And I know nothing about advertising in television, but he was sharing really cool concepts in a real entertaining manner. They were very short, and I just got to where I look forward to the next one coming out. So, Jeff, why don't you give us a little of your background and just how you wound up with these great videos on LinkedIn?
Well, thank you, Butch. So I've been in advertising for quite a few years. I mean, the first company I worked for was Fortune magazine, and I sold their national ad space, and that was a few years ago. And then I went to ABC, Disney, ESPN, and was with them for, gosh, almost 2 decades. And really, what happened, Butch, is everything changes. I mean, every industry, every business, everything changes. So I had sold linear television across all of these different platforms with very known. Disney is the world's most admired corporation, ranked every single year. And I was a linear sales guy that was starting to sell quite a bit of digital, but people still saw me as the linear TV guy. If you don't define how people perceive you, they're going to put you in a box. And that's just how it works. So what I did is, after like many COVID related a layoff, I had a little breathing room. Disney was just so wonderful with my package and leaving, and they were terrifically generous. So I had some breathing room. So I kind of went out and decided I wanted to go more into the digital ad space. And see, the problem with it's always good, it's always bad. The problem when we're working with ABC Disney is, if I'm selling digital products, I'm the frontline guy that's talking about them. But when it comes to the true technical and all of the things that go along with it, there were teams and scores of people that were doing all that for me. So I knew it can moderately conceptually, or let's say. So I decided that I was going to go under the hood with the time that I had, and I got on with a digital programmatic firm that sells all digital advertising across all the digital platforms that you can buy it from. But when I would go out to the marketplace to talk about these new products, as I said, people put you in a box. They just do, and they just wanted to talk about linear TV. They wanted to talk about what shows were on ABC. When is this coming up? Who's going to win The Bachelor? I'm like, I don't work there anymore. I don't know who's going to win The Bachelor. I wanted to talk about digital concepts and things. And so I knew I had to change the perception of how people saw me in the industry. So I created a social media initiative. And I think that the very good distinction that you said in the intro, I am not a social media influencer. I have no interest in that. I do not want to post every single day of what I'm eating for dinner and happy. No interest. So what I did was created an initiative that would put out 1 minute videos about topics and things that people might not understand or not know. And I would just attack one thing, like second screen attribution, or what's the difference between probabilistic and deterministic data, and what is a DSP, what is an SSP, and what is an exchange, and just made them very, very clear. And very quickly, the industry started responding to me as a TV guy that they knew me from. But I was not just the TV guy. I was now like the TV guy that has this digital knowledge that can bring in an all-encompassing digital television platform. And so that was really my motivation of why I did it.
Hey, Jeff, let me ask you a question, because you and I've never talked about this. You said something that was brilliant, and I'm not even sure you knew it was brilliant when you said it.
I love it. Love it. Keep going.
You said you can define yourself. So how did you come across or decide or have this inspiration that you could define your new self?
Well, okay, it's so funny, and we'll talk about this in a moment. In advertising, my entire career was going out and talking to advertisers and big, large clients that were advertising on a national scale. And I would say, hey, you have to have reach and frequency. You have to have a plan of whatever message you're trying to deliver. You got to have the right audience. And target, years back, advertising was reach and frequency. That was it. And now it's reach and frequency. And as you know, from being a cell phone owner and getting ads that come directly to you, it's become reach, frequency, and targeting. So I knew I had to draw that next phase so that people would then go, okay, this guy knows television, and now he knows all of the digital components. And what I had to do was really go under the hood, because when you work for a mega corporation, like I said, I would bring the concept in, and they want to do this programmatically, they want to do this on ESPN, they want to do this on ABC television, they want a live remote from the Country Music Awards. But I had to change how they saw me. So that's how I did it. Is I utilized LinkedIn and TikTok specifically. Those were the two that I wanted to get the message across. And then I'll answer back. So all this time that I've been going out and talking to brands and advertisers about, you have to find your audience, and then you have to speak to them, and that is what will persuade them or give them the opportunity to consider buying your product. And I just looked at it and I'm like, LinkedIn is every single person that's ever bought media from me. My contacts are every single person that's ever bought media from me. So I'm like, the audience is there. This is the products that I have to sell. I just need to educate them, my responsibility, not theirs, that I am the digital guy as well. So that's really how that came across. And you look at all of the time and all of the money and all of the effort that corporations put into finding their target. BMW, we want to find auto intenders that are of this certain household and this, and we want to do all of this, spend all of this money to find our buyer. And I just kind of was like, I don't have to do anything like that. My LinkedIn accounts are my buyers. There was no targeting to it. And so I just decided it's free. You don't have to pay for it. If you were going to run an ad campaign in your company, you have to spend all the money on figuring out the creative, what you're going to do, pay the creative agency. Then you have to have a media budget of where it's going to run and a strategy and all that. You got to have all your frequency and all these things. There's all these things that go into it. And I was like, it's right there. And that's why I get confused sometimes at companies that don't utilize it. I don't care what product it is. You're trying to sell office supplies. The people in your LinkedIn profile are people you've met in the industry that buy office products on a large scale. So why wouldn't you tell your message? Why wouldn't you get in front of them and let them know what you're doing or why your products are better or new changes or whatever? It's free. You don't pay for the ad space, and it's effective.
So let's back up just a little bit. and I want to talk more about what you just said.
Okay.
Um, I assume when you started this, you weren't a master of making videos for TikTok
Yeah.
and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Uh, so if you were, you can just tell us. But if you weren't, tell us about your journey to where your videos were great.
Well, thank you. I very much appreciate it. Well, first of all, that's the part that baffles me, that people wouldn't do it. You're trying to sell a product. You've got your audience there. They're already targeted for you. You don't have to put that investment in, and it doesn't cost anything. I mean, maybe I got a little bit better camera, or maybe I got a little bit better microphone. I don't know. Go down to Target, or Walmart or Micro Center and get your. And other than that, that's your cost. That's it. So I just looked at it and said, hey, I need to change the perception of how people see me, and it worked. And the beautiful thing about it is, the way LinkedIn works. You just go through, and we all know no one is going to stop on every single person that is in their LinkedIn feed. They're not. So what I did was I would have video, and I worked with a service called BombBomb. It was $19 a month, and it would take the frame and it would create the motion. That's a big thing when you're scrolling down. If it's just a static picture, there's a certain amount of response to it. But if it's like that loop where I'm just doing like this, and then I would just put the topic at the bottom. I didn't care how many likes I got. I didn't want to be a social media influencer, but every time that someone scrolled down, they saw me and they saw my topic. And I didn't even care if they clicked in the video. I mean, you did, thank you, and I appreciate it. And there were quite a few people that did. But if nothing else, I was endlessly putting the next time, that was the most important thing, is that thing, deterministic versus probabilistic, a DSP, SSP, and exchanges. How do they work together? So as they're going through, let's assume they didn't watch 10 videos in a row, but 10 different messages went to my specific audience for no charge, that they were like, holy, how did this guy learn about, all of these different digital platforms and how they all work? So that's how that came about. And I'd also like to say that the beautiful thing about the world today is, if you have an initiative, like I had a specific initiative, what I wanted to do was change the perception of how people saw me. Everything and every bit of research that I got was free. I just went on the internet. I got certifications in Google. I got certifications with the trade desk. I got certifications with the DSPs. It's free. You just have to take time to go through, watch the videos, take the test, you get a certification. So I learned everything that I needed and wanted, the depth and the kind of the meat of the message, for free. So to answer your question, you get a camera and you talk about a particular topic, and you make an impression. It wasn't like I had to go spend $8,000 to get educated. I just went to the internet.
So it cost you some time, but not really any money.
Yeah, that was it. And taping them does not take long. You just go through and tape it. And one point that I want to make is, you and I were kind of just talking about, when people do this, or when they decide to do it, or if they want to do it. There is a bit of resistance to talking on a camera. I get that. I understand that. But the thing I kept thinking is, after COVID, every single work day that you go in to your office or work from your home, you're on video. You're on a Zoom call. You're on a Teams call. You're on a WebEx call. You're talking on video every day. So the resistance factor to me was like, this is what everybody, I don't care if you're an accountant, not just a business development guy like me, you're talking on camera every day. So this shouldn't be too far of a leap in building it. And so that was just kind of the mindset that I came up with.
So that brings something to mind I think is important, and I'd like you to address this. When I talk to people about using LinkedIn, using other digital processes, especially older people like me, older baby boomers who probably figured they weren't going to need to be working at the age that we are now, but the crash of 2007, 2008 kind
Yeah.
of took care of that for some of us. And the number one objection that I always get right off the bat is, I don't have time. And I believe that that's somewhat valid, but I really believe the objection is, I don't know how to do that, and I'm scared I'm going to look bad.
Man, you're all over it. And what your company does, and how I've known you, and what I respect that your group does, is I can imagine that is an objection, because and actually what you said first of I don't know if I have time. I would say you're in business to connect people with your product and your service. And now you can be in front of every single person that can potentially buy from you, but you don't have time for that. Come on. No, I don't go for that. Now I will give, I'll acknowledge that people feel uncomfortable with it. There's no question about that. But if you do it in a way that gives value to the person, see, all we've ever heard in business, we know this. You go in, anybody that comes in your office, anybody that presents to you, and they put a PowerPoint up. Oh, for God's sake, we're number one. We're number one at this. We're number one at this. We're number one at this. I mean, everyone. Is there a company out there that's number two? Yeah, everyone is number one. So it's so much jargon that they don't see it. So what my idea was, let me offer something to them, to where I'm not going, hey, my company's the number one company, or hey, this. It was like, one of the videos I did that got a lot of mileage was when I was just talking about carriage deals, because people don't understand that. They'll get something on TV, let's say they were DirecTV, or let's say they're this or that, and they're like, you're no longer going to get this particular content on your platform anymore. Be prepared, because we've not been able to get a carriage deal. Well, what all that means is the platform that's delivering that content to you through whatever device, or however you want to get your television, they have to pay ESPN, they have to pay HGTV, they have to pay ABC Local, ABC National. They have to pay for that to get that content, to then send it to the pipes out, whether it's streaming or cable or whatever, to the audience. So there's big fights over revenue. And I remember baseball was a big thing, and people were like, what are you talking about, that I'm not going to get baseball? And I paid for my cable subscription or my streaming package, or what do you mean? So I just did one where that was valuable information, because people would understand it. So I would just go, look, this is a carriage deal. ESPN and HGTV, the content providers want a certain amount of money for their signal to go through the platform that delivers it to the consumer. So once I kind of explained that, people were like, "Oh, yeah, that affects me," because they were saying that baseball wasn't going to be coming on my channel, or what, I was going to be blocked out or whatever. So I just tried to think of things that would benefit the user, not we're number one, we're the best, no one can touch us. No one, that's just overstated. So if you have an initiative, you have to have something that makes sense for them to open it up and read it, or at least find value in it. You have to give value in any social media post that you do, I think.
Yeah, Jeff, I agree 100%. One of some of the studies from the big consulting firms show that in this day and time, buyers have done 75% of the research that they want to do before they want to engage with a salesperson. And if you're not providing value, they might watch a video or two because it's entertaining, but it'll end there.
Yeah. And another thing is, if you're providing value to the person that is watching the video or taking time to open it or whatever, you don't have to look perfect. You don't have to have the perfect lighting. You don't have to go out and spend $10,000 and get all of this video equipment so that you look like you're in a studio. I would talk about video concepts like walking in a parking lot out to my car and just go, hey, there's value. It's not about how professional and how your appearance comes across. I mean, you want to be reasonably professional and speak well, but you just have to give the value. That's what they want. They're not interested in exactly how everything looks and how professional and it looks like you just went into a studio. They just what's in it for me? What's in it for me? So if you create an initiative, you have to have something that helps them, that they can go, I never understood that. I'm going to watch this video and understand it. So that was my concept behind that as well.
Yeah, I believe Brandon Lee, who's the founder of Fist Bump, made a great analogy for LinkedIn. For those of us who are a little older, like me, he said it's just like a networking meeting in the 2000s, except it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. It's always open. Plus, you can better target who you're directing your LinkedIn profiles to.
Yeah. You and I we've talked about this before we were going to do the podcast, and thank you for inviting me to talk about it. But there are certain things that you have to do in business. It's just part of the deal. And one of the things this is a far out analogy, but I've said this before. If your kid, let's say your kid is trying out for the high school baseball team, and they're the best kid. I mean, they have the most talent. They have the most potential, perhaps, of anyone at that high school. If you sent them out to tryouts in a pair of Nike sneakers instead of cleats, people are gonna be like, "What are you doing?" You're immediately. There are certain things. If you want to be a baseball player, you got to wear cleats. You have to. It's just it immediately would discredit you. So when you think about how it all plays together, this is really kind of what you need to do. You may not have liked it, you may not have done it, but kind of the cleat scenario, everyone, if you were a parent, you were sending your kid out in those cleats because you knew that is what it took. And now I look at it and think, okay, you're trying to sell a product, you're trying to convey a message, and you're trying to do it by hey, I'm coming to Miami, I'd like to come in and talk to you and whatever. That's past tense. You have to look at what the tools are today. And that's how I saw it. I was like, I cannot continue to sell and just call people up and go, hey, I'm going to be in Charlotte. Hey, I'm going to be in New York. I'd like to come in and do a presentation. They're kind of like, yeah, nobody's in the office anymore. It's all on video. We've got people, we hired remotely. So we have people in Houston, we have people in Dallas, whatever. So if you don't go to what's the proper platform to reach them, you're eliminating your credibility immediately because you don't feel comfortable. It's like, you got to feel comfortable. You have to push it there.
So Jeff, let me ask you this. I found, for me anyway, things always work better if I have a logical, repeatable process for doing them.
Right.
When you started doing these videos, did you have a logical, repeatable process for doing it?
Yeah, I didn't want to oversaturate. For me personally, I felt for this initiative that I was trying to do, I released one video a week. That was the process that I went through with LinkedIn. Now, TikTok, as you know, TikTok is not your friends. It's not your, like Facebook and Instagram, which I'm not a big fan of those platforms, but nothing against them. But you go in and it's your friends. It's people you know. It's the person you know in high school, the person you knew in college, the person you worked with. That's how Facebook is a connection process. TikTok was fantastic because it was subject based. So I put my hashtags at the bottom: digital media, advertising, media buyer, media planner, media director. And then those hashtags would pull it up. And so I gained an enormous amount of traction by targeting people that have no idea who I am. And then LinkedIn, where everyone knew in my industry that I had sold to, who I was, and it was an amazing discovery, because TikTok, I would get emails from people literally all over the world asking me questions and going, "Hey, I don't get this. How does this work? I watch this. This is very interesting. How do you do?" And then so you kind of build a network there. I had a company in Portugal that called me and said, "Look, would you give us 30 minutes of your time to, just to listen to this product that we're considering bringing into the States, because you just seem to understand advertising and what have you." So, it worked. So that's why I chose TikTok and LinkedIn. It was my audience, and then it was my subject. And there is a big difference, and people don't know now. Unfortunately, we don't know what is going to happen with TikTok with the new things. You may have to try a new platform. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the longevity of TikTok. No one is. But it worked for me when I was doing
it. Yeah, I believe that. So when the internet started getting big, if you were a company and you didn't have a website, people thought, "Well, is this really a company?" I think in social media, LinkedIn works that way. If you're not on LinkedIn, people are going to wonder if you're really in business. And so I believe you need to be there. And then I believe, to your point, from there, you look at YouTube, you look at Facebook, you look at TikTok, and see what works for you to back that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Jeff, if you got a call from, did you say China?
It was Portugal. I got
Portugal. It sounds like even though you weren't trying to be an influencer, you had built some influence.
I guess I did. Well, when I say I didn't want to be an influencer, I had no interest in like posting stuff that I was eating for dinner. Here I am. I'm getting in the shower now, and this is the shampoo I use. I'm like, what? And people love that, and that's fine for people that want to find that topic and whatever. Okay. I did not want to be a social media influencer. Sure. I just wanted to talk about the product that I knew and the advertising ecosystem and how I could relay that. So that's what I mean. But yeah, I guess I could have been put in the social media influencer category. I guess maybe.
And I'll say this. In all seriousness, you obviously had gained credibility through social media, and every salesperson's dream is to have a customer that they don't know call them and say, "Hey, can you help us?"
Oh, of course, and that happened a lot. What happens is when you go out on, and everyone has an expertise in business, whatever it is, like the office supply company, the group that does supply chain, the group that does this, and their LinkedIn network is built around that topic, because those are the people that they know and then they've connected with. So when you're just going out talking about what you know, and you can put it into a digestible system that makes sense, that doesn't go on for 2 hours or just 1 minute. A lot of times I did them 30 seconds because I just wanted to get a point across. But the thing that happened it was wonderful is I knew it was working. I went to work for a programmatic digital firm, and I started selling a lot of digital. Like I said, I wanted to go under the hood. I went with a small company where I could understand every single thing that's happening in the programmatic and digital space, because it's an exchange. The old days, we think people that watch HGTV, that's who we want to reach. And then it became very targeted to where you reach that particular person with all of the digital extensions that were applied. So I just wanted to talk about what I knew and how, and I'm sorry, I keep getting like pop-ups on my screen. I hope you're not getting that in audio, but who cares? That's all good. And that really worked because it's specific to your world. So it could be anything. If you're a car salesman, if you're in real estate, if you're in anything, if you just go on LinkedIn and talk, or in social media and talk about what you know, an instant credibility starts happening. And so I would run into my former linear TV coworkers or whatever, and they were like, "Jeff, where did you get all of this where did this come from? And I was like, it was free. I went on the internet and I just did the certifications and learned it, knew what I knew about all media business, and then just applied it. So it gives you credibility, which is a good thing. I mean, you want that in your industry. And then I do get calls from people that go, "Hey, I saw a video you said about something, what have you. I'd love, I don't know what a footprint study is. How does that work? And I'm like, well, you run an ad campaign and you pixel and you put different things. And then when a person goes into that particular store, it's going to show you, it's going to give you the attribution that you're looking for, the return on investment in advertising, which has become so big."
So let's go to the negative. Let's turn a negative into a positive here. What's the biggest mistake you see people making?
This is my personal opinion, and I'm not saying anybody's doing anything wrong. But if you feel like, because a lot of times if you listen to a social media influencer on TikTok or on YouTube, they're like, you got to put out content. You got to put out content. You got to be putting out content every single day, every single, and I'm like, I don't agree with that. I'm not saying that didn't work for them or whatever, but for my initiative, I couldn't flood the market. It had to be everything that I post on LinkedIn, which is the real force behind what I do. It's continuing to tell a story without oversaturating. Real quick, a big issue in television advertising is, of course, the reach and the frequency we talked about. But if you see an ad too many times, and this happens a lot because people buy on, you can buy through Hulu, you can buy on DSPs, you can buy in different ways. And all of those groups are sending out the ad on all of these platforms. If you oversaturate and you have so much duplication of your ad to that user, they're like, I can't watch this particular Remax commercial one more time. It creates a negative effect. You know what I mean? So I just managed my frequencies so that people wouldn't look at it and go, this guy is just talking to talk. I'm getting nothing out of it. He's not telling me anything because he's telling me every single thing he does every single day. And there's not a give back to the viewer unless you can manage your frequency.
Yeah, I agree with that. To this point, I believe, depending on what industry you're in, what your target is with what you're doing on LinkedIn, you have to figure out for you and who you're targeting what the proper amount of content is.
That's an important point because different products need. Yeah, that's a great distinction. Yeah, there are some that you want to be there all the time, but for mine, I decided that was not for me. But that's a very good distinction. There are some industries, the more you're in front of people every single day, they keep seeing your face, they keep seeing it. And like I said, it doesn't matter. You're not trying to be a LinkedIn or a social media influencer where all you care about is the likes or your repost. That's not what you're trying to do. You're just getting your face and your thoughts in front of the people that are buying you over and over and over again. And you immediately become this person that they go, oh, I know a guy that, oh yeah, I know this guy. I see him on LinkedIn. Oh yeah, that's who you should call, or whatever. And then people say, and they refer you. So
as long as people are receiving value, they'll look at it. As soon as they don't believe they're receiving value, they'll stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can, I'll share this one screen. So I a lot of times I do speaking at universities about marketing. I've done it at University of Georgia about 3 times. I've done it at Georgia State University about, I think this is going to be my 4th time. So I'll share this screen. So this is something that is pertinent, that just sort of builds the image. It takes 1 second to read it, but immediately the viewer has a different perception. So if I go to this and I put up this guy, okay, and let me know if this comes in. Did this go onto the screen there, Butch?
There we go.
There we go. Okay. So I'm going to lecture at Georgia State University next week on the power of social media marketing. Okay. That's not really giving. This is more of an image thing. I'm not giving information about what I'm trying to do and my company, and we're number one. This is more of just an image thing. So I do put these out occasionally. So it builds the image of like, wow, this guy's not just trying to sell products. He has other areas and different things and different interests that kind of pulls the whole picture together. And I want to go back really quick. This is a true story. It's going to sound ridiculous, but you talked about time and how much time it takes. Okay, I'm a big believer in ChatGPT, OpenAI's ChatGPT, that particular version. I think it's so great. I am not exaggerating this. I was in my car at a red light in Buckhead waiting to take a left turn. So that's going to be what, 3 to 7 minutes. I don't know, whatever. And I hit ChatGPT, the microphone, and I just said, oh, I'm going to be a guest lecturer at Georgia State University next week. The topic is going to be power of social media marketing. Create me a graphic. It created that. I did nothing. It was literally built for me in a second. Before the red light changed, that was built for me. One thing that I would mention though, I did not load my photo into ChatGPT. It created the shell, and then I took it, when it gave me the shell, I downloaded it, and then I put my image in so that my image wasn't in ChatGPT, because people have a lot of issues with potential security issues and things like that. So that's one thing I do, is try to just show the different things I'm doing, and that builds credibility as well. But to answer your question, I am not exaggerating. I was at a red light. I hit microphone. It pulled up the Georgia State University logo. It pulled up the colors. It pulled up everything. It formatted. I said, leave me a space at the top so I can drop my picture in. Done. I mean, how long did that take? And so next week when I'll speak, I will put this on LinkedIn, and then I will connect with all the students that are in the class, and then they can make comments and what have you beneath it. So.
Hey, thanks for sharing that, Jeff.
Yeah. It doesn't take that long, is my point.
So, Jeff, before we wrap up, I'd like you to address one more thing. We talked about this yesterday. We talked about sight, sound, and motion for free.
Oh God, it is the absolute truth. I mean, listen, in working for ABC and Disney and such a big monster brand, I would go into an agency, and agencies know and always knew sight, sound, and motion is the absolute, undisputed, most effective way to get your message across. And in years past, you had to have a TV spot, you had to have creative, you had to have legal look over it, you had to buy your media time, you had to put it all together, and then you could have your sight, sound, and motion. Listen, road signs, they're perfect. There's a place for those. Print magazine, there's a place for a print image, but nothing is more effective than sight, sound, and motion. And so with LinkedIn or TikTok, you just tape your message for free, and then you put it on, and you have the most effective advertising medium that has ever been known. Sight, sound, and motion. Bam. You get to tell your message. You get to convey what you want to say. And if you tape it and you don't like it, you delete it and just redo it. How hard is that? It's just not a big deal.
So, Jeff, if you had, you're not, because I know you well, you're not near as old as I am, but our show is really targeted to Gen Xers and baby boomers who are still out there in the CEO space, the founder space, the sales space. What is one thing that you'd like to leave with them today?
That's a good question, and I think about it all the time. I have a hard time understanding why people don't like change. A lot of times, I could care less. I love change. I think it reinvents and keeps going and gives me energy. But they don't like change. But let's think about it, Butch. If I was in right here on this screen in a tie with a suit, which I absolutely had to wear when that was the requirement. You know what I mean? And so some of the older folks, they want to stay with what worked for them and how it worked for them. And like I said, going and visiting your clients, half the time they're not there. No, we hired Susie Johnson from Seattle, Washington, because she was the best person for this job. But she's not in our Atlanta office. So if you're coming by to do a presentation, she's not even going to be here. So you have to change, and it's a bit intimidating. I'll give it that. But if you don't change, if you don't evolve to what is out there, your customers are there. You've had relationships with them, and you get to reinforce your message and your image and your presence over and over and over again. So I can't imagine why the fear of video or something like that would stop them. But that's what I would think is in your business and in helping people do social media and bring things forward. I can understand that would be their objection. But if you're trying to sell products and you're trying to create solutions for people, and you have a way to have sight, sound, and motion on platforms directly to the people that have budgets and are ready to buy, you would have to get over that. You would just have to this is the way business is done now. So you just got to move away from your expensive lunches and all the things that people used to do. They just don't do it now. We work differently. We dress differently. Every approach is different. So you have to kind of evolve with it.
So Jeff, when I'm talking to what our ideal customer profile is, older Gen Xers, baby boomers that are still in business, what I say is I've been in sales for over 45 years. Right. One thing that was true from day one that's true today is people want to buy from someone they know, they like, and they trust.
Yes.
And we, in that profile, we have to understand that still works, but the way we get people to know, like, and trust us has changed, and we have to adapt to the new digital tools that are available. And you've certainly done a great job at that.
Well, thank you. I mean, it would be like somebody saying, "Okay, we're going to Florida. Let's get out the paper map and map out exactly how long once you're accustomed, or once you accept the new technology or the new things, you can't even imagine going back." And so I 100% understand what you're saying in your business and what you're trying to build. And people would go, "No, that's just not me. That's not what I do." But I would say your customers are on the other end of a video, and all you have to do is put it together for free, and you will create that. You'll reinforce the trust. They may already know you, but you reinforce the trust, and you kind of bridge that gap. So I think what you guys are doing is great in helping people get comfortable with it and help grow their businesses, because the key is exactly what you said, and these tools are what help you get there. So I can't imagine that they could be ignored, but some people do. But it's right there waiting.
Well, thanks, Jeff. That's certainly a great story that you have, and going from where you were when you started that journey to where you are now, I know it's been very rewarding.
Oh, thank you. Well, right, because I found a company, and I'm so lucky to be here. I love it. I'm thrilled. It is the largest multi-screen television operation in the United States, combining television and data. And I'm like, I wouldn't have been a candidate for this particular role if I had not built the data portion. And we know how important data is in advertising. So it's worked for me, and I've met so many great people, and wonderful things have happened. And now I've landed with a job that I just adore, because it's me being able to go talk about things that I really believe in and have a passion for. So,
well, I'm glad you said that, because I didn't want to say it for you, but you told me I found the perfect job, the job I wanted.
I know it. I did, and I love it. It's just been an absolute pleasure to work. I've been here a short period of time, but it was exactly, I mean, exactly what I was looking for. A combination of television and data, and how you take that and how you create an efficient campaign based on these two components. Because we know data is, if you don't have data in advertising these days, come on, you want to target, you have to target. So just worked out very nicely.
So I'm going to wrap it up here. If you're ready to bridge the gap or bridge generations between sales and outreach, Jeff would be happy to help you. I'd be happy to help you. We appreciate your time today, and have a great next week. And we'll be back next week, 10 o'clock on Friday morning.
Butch, thank you. Thank you so much for calling me. It was a pleasure to be here and to be your first guest. Thank you.